Hi everyone, welcome to my channel. It's Tricia, and I am working with the Frames and Flowers 12 by 12 Specialty Designer Series paper today. I needed a huge stack of birthday cards. You can see I've got 25 birthday cards that I made, and I added just some basics in, but I used this Frames and Flowers 12 by 12 pack for all of it. So because I used it all, it's hard for me to show you what it started out looking like, but let me get it a little closer. This pack comes with a couple of beautiful two-sided 12 by 12 sheets of paper that you can cut up and use however you want. But it also comes with 3 12 by 12 sheets of these laser die cut pieces. So these pieces have, this is 6 layerable card fronts, and then like this long strip down the middle, and then all of these elements that you can make into focal points or add as accents. So all these different wreath shapes and corners and little sprigs and bouquets of flowers, and they all just coordinate so perfectly, and it's a really pretty color combination. So all I needed to do was, let me tell you the colors. First of all, the colors are, here's what I have left. This is so funny. I have a few little bits of cardstock. I could probably make another card, and one little corner that I haven't used yet. That is it. Oh, one more piece, and that little piece which I cut parts of. So I think this might be the first time that I have plowed through an entire 12 by 12 paper pack, not had leftovers, and was able to produce so many cards. So this is an awesome thing to consider if you don't have tons of stamps, if you're just getting started and you don't have tons of stamps, because really all you need is a sentiment set, like one sentiment set that covered a lot of occasions, and you could create a ton of cards here. You don't need to have a lot of stamps of images because you're going to use all these die cut pieces. So this would be great, a really great set if somebody is just getting started with paper crafting, doesn't have a lot of supplies yet. You would need your basic cardstocks and, at least one color of ink to stamp some sentiments. But let me show you what I used. So the colors in here are Early Espresso, Garden Green, Granny Apple, Lost Lagoon, Old Olive, Petal Pink, Pretty Peacock, Pumpkin Pie, Shaded Spruce, and Soft Seafoam. So a whole spectrum of greens. If you had one of those green ink colors, you would be just fine. And then a few of these peach colors. So all I did was I grabbed a handful of inks that matched to do my sentiments with, and then some coordinating colors of cardstock to make my card bases and maybe some other layers. So let me show you the cards I was able to make. I'll set this off to the side just a little and go through these cards with you. So this one, I'm just doing a whole big kind of bouquet of all of the different sprigs. I did add, I used my bow punch, and I punched out some coordinating cardstock in these leaf shapes just to fill in my cluster there. And then I used, you'll notice on some of these, I used a couple of our enamel effects. So I used the basics in the white, and then I used the metallic enamel effects in the copper and the gold to add some of these dots. So you can see these little dots. You put those on, you got to let it sit for an hour or so, and then they'll harden up and look just like an adhesive backed embellishment. And then for this first card, I used linen thread. You'll see that repeated throughout. Some basic white twine. This comes from the Essentials pack of the Baker's Twine. And then just this has vanilla cardstock, and the Lost Lagoon for the card base. So here's another look. For ribbons, you'll see as I go through the cards, and they'll start going quicker now that I've shown you all the embellishments, but I am using up some old ribbon from my stash This is a discontinued Lost Lagoon ribbon, and this is a discontinued Petal Pink ribbon. However, if you don't have anything in your stash, there is a Petal Pink and White diagonal trim combo pack. If you look on page 113 of your catalog, that would go perfectly with all of this, so you could substitute that where I've used my Petal Pink here. And then there's a Pretty Peacock and Gold ribbon that is available currently, and that would be beautiful as an accent here too. So wherever you see that I've used the Lost Lagoon, you could substitute this Pretty Peacock. So let's go back to looking at the cards, and now we can kind of fly through them. So here's a look at this one. This one was a circular element that I just cut in half and only used part of the circle. Here's one where I used just a full piece as a layer, and then I stamped a sentiment. And my sentiments come from a whole variety of sets, but you could, as I said, you could have one sentiment pack and just choose the ones that fit into the shapes that you wanted. I did use some of my label dies and punches and my circle punches and dies and things like that for these labels, but you could get by just hand cutting these or using just a few punches. So I think that one's super pretty. This one's on a crumb cake background. Again, you could substitute that Pretty Peacock ribbon right there and it would be beautiful. There is not technically Flirty Flamingo in this paper pack. At least it's not listed there, but I do feel like some of these darker peach looking florals in here do have a Flirty Flamingo look to them. So I did add some accents of Flirty Flamingo in a few of the cards. You can see that on my previous two. That has a Flirty Flamingo strip, and so does this. So peach or Petal Pink and Flirty Flamingo. And those two go so beautifully together. They're like companion colors. So here's another look. Just using one of those sprigs. And you can see I'm using those enamel effects to put some flower centers in and just add a little shine. Here's one where I incorporated an embossing folder. This is a newer embossing folder from our new 24 fall mini catalog. This is Forever Plaid. I love how this embossing folder looks back there. It just gives a really pretty texture in the background. This pretty one. This is on a basic beige card base. Love it. Using that same embossing folder again, putting on an early espresso card base here. There's another one where I have this paper. I think this is my favorite paper. It's just so pretty, that combination of colors and those eucalyptus looking leaves. Here's another one where I created a frame. This is actually an old die, but you could create a frame out of any rectangular label shaped dies, or even just using your trimmer. But this was an older die that I had laying around. There's another pretty one using that paper. You could tell I loved that paper. That's a pretty one. I just put a little bit of crumb cake with that circle hanging off the edge. Using these wreath shapes and adding just a couple of the little sprigs and another couple punches with that bow punch. This one has a frame. This frame was an original part of the set, as was this big leaf. Thought that was so pretty, with the little double bow of the linen thread. This paper is beautiful too. This eucalyptus type leaf, it's just so pretty and simple. I barely had to do anything to this other than stick a sentiment on it. My stack is getting so tall, it's gonna topple over here. Here's another one. There's another one. This kind of interesting diamond looking frame. And I just put one of the little bouquets in the center. And that's all you need to do. I mean, these cards make themselves with all of these elements. This one I used a piece of the basic beige and I embossed it with the cane weave embossing folder. And then these little corner elements were just some of the laser cut pieces from the paper pack. These came together so quickly because all of the work is done for you. Like all you need is a sentiment and a few little accenting embellishments. Love that one. And this one I added, this is one of the papers from the set. This paper is just part of our 6x6 paper pack with the, what is the Lost Lagoon and Regals or Subtles? I think it's in the Subtles now. I think so. Yeah, from the Subtles collection, that Lost Lagoon 6x6 patterned papers. And then one of these oval frames just with an embossed sentiment in the center. And this pretty one. And when you want to maybe quiet down this busy background, I just put a little vellum behind my sentiment to help it stand out, kind of quiet down that background. And this was one of those swags that's part of the set. And whoop, I gotta grab my next one. Here's another one where my dots are actually still drying, so I had it set off to the side, but pretty frame. And then the only one where I added a different focal point, just because this was laying on my desk, I had some of the birds stamped out from the Winterly Treetops, I believe it's called, from the mini catalog. And this piece of paper comes from the Frames and Flowers 12 by 12 pack. And I just thought, oh, maybe I could tie this in and color my birds to match. So I did some Lost Lagoon and Old Olive and added some wild wheat on the birds. I thought that turned out pretty. So you've got this, you know, enormous stack of 25 cards. They came together so quickly. And I really needed minimal extra supplies. You could get by on a lot less than what I used. I was just having so much fun and my creativity was spinning, but you know, a couple of colors of stamps and maybe some linen thread or one color of ribbon. And you can make a whole pile of cards with this $10 paper pack from our annual catalog. So I highly recommend it. And as I said at the beginning, especially if you are someone who's just starting out with paper crafting and you haven't gathered a lot of supplies yet, you can do so much with this without having tons of stamp sets. Things are already cut for you, so you don't even need to have a die machine. Like, this would be a great place to start. I also love they give you lots of inspiration on this page, on pages 28 and 29 in the catalog. So you get lots of inspiration. And of course, you can pause my video or do screenshots at any of my cards if you want to try to copy them or duplicate them. If you have specific questions about any of the supplies that I added in, like what colors I used or what stamp set something came from, please just mention it in the comments and I will try to get back with you. But I just wanted to showcase how versatile and what a great value this Frames and Flowers set is. I should also mention that I also created gift boxes, our little book, oh geez, what are they called? The book gift boxes. For my last class, I decorated them using the papers from this kit. So I created all of those before I even started these cards. So I could have made many more cards had I not used some of the papers on those projects and in my class. So this is a huge value for this one product. So that's all I wanted to tell you. As always, there's a link to my shop in the description box, and you can email me or comment, and I'm happy to make other suggestions. But hopefully you found these cards inspiring, and maybe this was an interesting look into a new type of product for Stampin' Up! Where they have all of these pre-cut elements. It's almost like working with one of our kits, but still using your own card sketches and your own creativity to figure out how you want to put things, but a lot of the work is done for you ahead of time. So thanks for tuning in and taking a look at all of my card projects today. I hope you enjoyed them, and I hope you have a terrific day. Bye-bye.